Hello, hi. I'm Brandon Walker, and I host Unnecessary Roughness. I'm joined by a variety of characters on this show, most notably the lovely and talented Miss Kayce Smith. Hi, Kayce.
Hello, Brandon. It's good to see you. I just saw you an hour or so ago. You still look
Sure,
lovely.
sure. And then there's the ever smiling big one, Mister Big Ev. Happier than we've seen him in a very long time.
It's a good start to the new year, Brandon. Good start
Yeah.
to the new year. We're feeling good. We're playing some fuck you football right now is what we're doing.
And then there's Mr. Blutman. And Blutman, I have to ask you, what if this podcast were a cat?
If this podcast were a cat, I don't know. I'm not focused on that right now. I'm focused on what Dan Lanning said. We're gonna get that up on the socials.
I just want to say I went back and watched that clip. So, Ev, I'm sure you didn't see this. We were all arguing because it was such fuck you football, because Ohio State was kicking the shit out of Oregon as things happen in the gambling cave. The hypotheticals come up.
Don't bring this up at the start.
Do what?
Don't bring this up at the start. This is going to derail the whole show. It's going to derail the whole show.
Basically, no, we don't have to talk. We don't have to get into the actual argument itself. But Ev, basically what happened was we all started arguing about Kirk Herbstreit and his dogs. And from the clouds, Liam in the very back was like, would you guys feel this passionate about it if it was a cat? Like that's where that came from. That's what
I mean, it's a great point. I mean, I think it's a valid point.
Game respect game.
How would you feel if it was a cat?
Everybody focus. This show is brought to you by High Noon. Why don't you tell them about High Noon, Kayce?
Yeah, as Ev said, it's a new year. Ohio State fans, I'm sure, are popping some high noons. Texas fans probably needed some extra high noons in overtime after that game. But it is 2025 officially. Happy New Year to everybody listening. HighNoonSpirits.com. If you somehow did not start your 2025 with a high noon, I've got great news for you. You should do it right now. We're all over the world. We're not even all in the same country right now, okay? There are people in the DR drinking high noons. There are people in Chicago drinking high noons. There are people all over the place. HighNoonSpirits.com. And Ev, as we have said, high noon hits for every occasion, but that victory high noon hits the best.
High noons by the pool, the beach, after you shit pump Oregon. They all hit the same. They all hit fantastic.
I think we all thought he was saying something different there. Anyway, we have
pervert. You're a pervert.
Okay, just everybody relax. All right, so we officially Texas and Arizona State baptized us today with finally a playoff game worthy of awe and wonderment. It was incredible, one of the great playoff games of all time, one of the best games of this year. Obviously, Ohio State and Oregon is something we're going to talk about, but I ask you to put a pin in that, Big F, for now as we talk about the incredible game that opened up the day. I'll just open it up by saying this. We all have microphones. We all have opinions. We all have voices. I used mine the last time we were together to tell you Arizona State was in way too deep water here. Arizona State cannot play with this team. Arizona State is champion of a bad conference. Arizona State is going to get beat. I put the score at 51-13. I thought Texas would destroy this team, and they spent 4 quarters showing me that I was an idiot, that I was wrong, that I was terribly misinformed when it came to Arizona State. There have been some teams in this playoff whose performance left you wondering, did they really need to be here? And Arizona State was not one of those teams. They did not win the game. They ended up losing 39-31 in double overtime, but they gave Texas, they took Texas as far as you can take a team without beating them. Big Ev, remarkable stuff from Arizona State.
That's an all-time game. That's a classic game. That's like remember where you were kind of game. The comeback, the over. Texas scoring in overtime and then immediately scoring the next play. All the plays by Cam Skattebo. That was true. That was what legends are made of kind of day from Cam Skattebo. Like win, lose, or draw. That was an all-timer today. Catching the ball, obviously running the ball every time they needed it. It takes 9 guys to bring them down. The way he just runs so hard. I don't know how this guy. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. I almost don't know how. Just look at the guy; it's unbelievable. But just what a game! Dillingham. That the fake punt, even though they didn't end up getting points, still respect him, hanging his balls out there, going for it. They should have won the game. They left so many points on the board. They really should have won the game. But they absolutely deserve to be there. I was wrong too. I thought Texas.
Kayce?
Texas could dominate. Nobody got that was it.
Kayce, you were, I don't know if Blutman did too. Actually, I think Blutman did too. You two probably were the only ones. But I know for a fact you said Arizona State could win this game. So go ahead and take your little victory lap now.
Well, no, first of all, I want to use my first sentence to apologize to Cam Skattebo because I said, and this is where Blutman was correct, I said, I don't think he should be talking shit. I don't think he should be talking shit. I don't think Levitt should be talking shit. What Cam Skattebo did today was unbelievable. And by the way, him just like puking on the sidelines, like I don't even care why he was puking, just an absolute legendary performance. Like it just made it even funnier that it was on New Year's Day. But that is why, and not to like make this a bigger picture thing, because obviously we'll have bowl wrap up and all that. That's why the 12-team playoff is important. That's why an expanded playoff was important, because we spent all season, including me, saying that the Big 12 was shit, that the conference itself was no good, that it didn't matter who won the conference, that they weren't going to stack up against the SEC and the Big 10. Then we have seen in bowl season that outside of the playoff teams, and even in them, we saw Tennessee do it last week, that the SEC is not near as good as we thought they were going to be. We've seen some frauds. Hold on. We've seen some frauds in the Big 10. Brandon, we'll get to all of that. My point being that in the past, we have thrown teams away like Arizona State because we downplay what they have done in a conference that we deem to be shittier than the other ones. Arizona State is really good, and they didn't win this game, but the fact that they battled their way back and they hung in the trenches with Texas, with an SEC caliber team, and they came back from that deficit, that's what makes this playoff so good. And credit to Kenny Dillingham for getting them back. The Big 12 media writers voted this team to be dead last in the preseason, and they almost made it to the semifinals today. Incredible football game. And guys, Quinn Ewers does everything he can to give these games away. I'm just saying.
No, hold the phone. First, I got a couple things. I need a 10-second.
Quinn wasn't that bad, but Quinn did make some mistakes today that were a little bit iffy.
Of course he made some mistakes. Blutman, I just got to get back in here real quick. I got two things to say about that. Number one, and this is a very, very, very brief, we can put a pin in this and come back to it later. The SEC's performance as a whole has been wretched. South Carolina,
Alabama,
just wretched, awful, and the conference has taken a black eye in bowl season. However, I think after the events of today, we might owe Tennessee an apology. We might owe Tennessee an apology for what they had to play last week, considering what we saw today, and we'll come up to that game in a minute. Now, my second thing is, you said Quinn Ewers gave the game away. He did make some classic Quinn Ewers mistakes. That pick in the fourth quarter, kind of gave life to Arizona State. But Quinn Ewers stood in that pocket. Quinn Ewers stood in the shotgun, 4th and 13 with his football career on the line, with his college football career on the line, maybe, with his team season on the line, 4th and 13. If he doesn't execute perfectly, the season is over. They're embarrassed. It is done. 4th and 13, he calmly reads, finds, throws the ball, touchdown, ends up, and they get it back again. They score immediately. They go for two. They score immediately. Like, he rescued that team in the depths of when they were facing their mortality. He stepped up and made it not happen. So I know he made some mistakes.
That's true. And I said he tried to give the game away multiple times. There were mistakes that he made. Now, granted, Arizona State, like Ev said, left a lot of points on the board. There was multiple times throughout that game that I was like, I can't decide if Arizona State should be winning this game or not. Like, should they just be ahead? Like, that to me, and going into this game, the reason that I thought that Arizona State, amongst other reasons, but had an opportunity to hang in this game was because I just hadn't seen anything from Texas all year that said they have the talent to blow out a team that was so hot at the end of the year playing the way that Arizona State was playing. And again, credit to Cam Skattebo and credit to those guys for just battling their dicks off to get back into that game, because a lot of teams wouldn't do that. A lot of teams would just say, okay, shit, like we've got this deficit. The talent gap, especially in the first quarter, looked so massive, and they didn't. And thank God that game happened, because we had a game last night that was a blowout, and then we had game 2 that's a blowout, and we have another game tomorrow with all the stuff that's going on in New Orleans. Right now, we've had one good playoff game, which I love, but thank God that Arizona State played with their fucking balls in their hands today.
Blutman, your thoughts?
Quinn Ewers made about 3 or 4 big-time throws today when Texas needed it the most. He had some shaky throws, ball spoiled on them like usual. But, I mean, Kayce, you said this was this was Texas. This is what they've done pretty much all season. They get up and play a great first half, and then they start to coast in the second half. ASU got blitzed to start this game. They were down 14-3, blink of an eye. After they had a great opening drive, they were starting to run, they were getting things going, and then, stuff ain't working. Is what it is. You kick the field goal, Texas scores on you in 2 plays, punt return right after. We're looking at another game where it's looking like, hey, this thing's ugly and it's going to be over quick. They fought. They stayed in there. Brand, I had Texas 34-31, by the way. I was rooting for ASU to win, is what it is. ASU, I mean, yeah, I'm guilty of it. I gave up on this one early, too. Foolish for it, but from what we've seen in the other 5 playoff games up to that point, it wasn't far-fetched to say that game was just over. It was, brains poisoned with blowout football. I'm thinking, hey, we've got another one. There was a tremendous shift in momentum here, and it's maybe Cam Skattebo's, I'm not going to say best play of the game. It's top 3, though. When he gets stuffed on 4th and 1 there on the goal line, and everyone wants people are just so ill-informed with this stuff. One, that's not on you. People were quoting the Cam Skattebo graphic. Nobody could stop me because he got stopped on 4th and 1 because his offensive line got blown to smithereens. Whatever, you're all wrong. It doesn't matter. The fact that was about an 8-yard loss. He got nearly into the end zone there. The very next play is blown up for a safety. That swing completely changes things, and it's a Cam Skattebo outstanding contact balance play that was never talked about enough in this. That propelled ASU back into this game. The shifts of momentum were incredible. The Texas defensive line, their front 7 that was wreaking so much havoc all game, really started to dwindle after that. It just something happened. It was a heroic performance from ASU. Kayce, I like that you brought them talking. I love not just that they talked. I feel like I was the only one that was liking them talking and pushing each other during the game and everything. They knew that they were capable of so much better.
They looked like they hated each other.
They did look like they hated each other, but it was all out of love and passion and just knowing that they should have been in a better spot. I'd rather see that. I'd rather see that fight than a team that lays down and quits and just says, what the heck happened? We can't get anything going. No, Coach Dillingham, yeah, Brand. Coach Dillingham's got a great team. Love that he didn't coach like a little coward like so many of these other teams, so many of these other coaches in these spots. They embraced the underdog role. They played a great game. They deserve to win. We could talk about the targeting, I'm sure. A playoff game coming down to that targeting call would have been tragic. I mean, yeah, I think it was targeting is what it is.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
It was targeting. It was targeting.
We got to talk about it. Well, hold on, everybody. Hold on. Everybody that watches college football loves to say targeting is a problem, loves to say they shouldn't call it as much, loves to say that, oh, this shouldn't be that, this shouldn't be that. They love to bitch about targeting. And then when a play call happens like this, they want to absolutely stand there like the hall monitor. That was targeting. That should have ended the game right there. Like, do you want that game to end on a question of a 50-50 targeting call one way or the other? I did not want it to end that way. Mm-hmm. The fact that they let it play out, was it targeting? Boy, I sure thought it was targeting. But I do not want a playoff game ending on a referee's flag like that. I just don't want it to happen. I want the game to play out. And Arizona State kept fighting and had multiple chances to win that game after the targeting. They had a 7-point lead on 4th and 13 and didn't win. They didn't lose that game because of targeting. So all you bitches on Twitter, oh, my God, it was SEC bias. No, it wasn't. It was a 50-50 call, and the ref said, yeah, we're just not going to make that call here. That's what happened, and you can whine, you can cry, you can bitch. You can be like Indiana fans who whine and cry and bitch, but you can do whatever you want. I didn't want to end like that. It didn't end like that. Arizona State had a chance to win the game, didn't. Shut the fuck up about the targeting is what I'm trying to say, Big F.
You're 100% right, but it needed to be brought up.
All of those things that you said can all be true at the same time, by the way. Like, yes, it was targeting, yes, the game shouldn't end that way. And also, yes, like Arizona State, you had them 4th and 13.
Face mask to face mask. This wasn't a headhunting situation here.
Like at 4th and 13, go cover Matthew Golden better. Like, I agree with you. And I do think that it was targeting. And I said this, and people are like, oh, you're saying this because you're an Aggie. I do believe that if it was targeting reverse and it was targeting on Texas, that call would have stood. I believe that. I do.
No,
That's
just
just my
belief.
belief. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like it does. That's not what ended the game. Now, if that ended the game, we have a big. But that doesn't matter. In that moment, I was like, that is targeting, and I do think that if the roles were reversed, we would have seen it. And it doesn't matter. That's not what ended the game.
Do you have thoughts?
I agreed with. I kind of agree with you, Brandon. Like, to me, like I don't know what they can do with the the verbiage and the actual the bylaws, rules, whatever. Because the face mask to face mask is very it's very inconsequential, injury wise. It's very it's kind of you're just meeting your face mask kind of clash. It's not some big collision, at least head to head like that. And I don't think I think they would have left it if it was the other way around. I think it was the right call to and not be targeting. I agree. You can't have to decide on that. It wasn't some vicious head hunting play. Just a clash of face masks. It was a good clean tackle. You don't want to see it end like that. Because if it was the other way, they would have been up in arms the other way. It's Twitter. You're gonna find any 50-50 call. Twitter's going to find the other side of it and go nuts about it. If they called it targeting, it would have been this is sissy football. They're ruining the game, blah, 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 all that bullshit.
I just did not want I never want a game to end on something like that. Let's play it out. It did get played out. Arizona State had every chance in the world. They didn't do it. Anyway, Blutman, you were right. We needed to talk about that targeting, so I'm glad you brought it up. Can I ask a question about Skattebo? Okay. We watched the game pretty much without sound because we're watching in the gambling cave. You guys know how we do. Was it big Blutman? Did he have the flu? Is he sick, or was he just worn down, or what was the vomiting?
I got no clue. I think he was. My belief is that he was just worn down a bit, and we were seeing him out there. There were places where he's running routes and is literally walking. He looked like you out there when you run up to the soccer ball in the yak gauntlet. Skattebo was on his last legs, a heroic effort, and sometimes you just gotta throw up, and that's what happened, in my opinion. I don't think he's a warrior.
They did say multiple times he's physically ill. So, but they never gave, unless I missed it, they didn't give an actual illness. They didn't say he's battling the flu. And that's when all the hangover, obviously he didn't have a hangover, but the hangover memes started coming out. This guy can throw up all day on New Year's Day and he's a hero. I do it and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. Those types of things came up. But that he was just such a dude, that whole thing. By the way, I know we talked about the targeting and ending it, and they won the game. You want to talk about a guy that was praying and pleading to any God that you could possibly believe in? That's Bert Auburn. The fact that kid who has been lights out, the first miss, boy, okay. When that kid came out and Sark wanted all the camera time and Sark's giving him the mouth-to-mouth motivational speech, I don't know if I'm the only one, but my God, I was sitting there and I was like, this kid's just going to miss this again, isn't he? There's no way that he's actually going to miss this, right? And this motherfucker just doinked it.
I don't know what he said, but I like to think that Sark got up in his face and said, listen, I know this is the biggest moment of your life right now, but I'm going to make it about me real quick. So look me dead in the eyes and make sure all 70,000 people see me talking to you and motivating you, right? And I'm motivating you, right? You feel that? You feel that? So now I got to go make the kick because it's all about me now. That's what I imagine Sark was saying. I have never in my life seen a coach moments before a kicker goes out to kick something like that do what he did. What the fuck was Sark doing?
Sark is so lucky that Texas won that game in overtime. That picture, that image would have haunted his dreams and his legacy for the rest of his life if they don't win that game. And that's the lasting image of him grabbing the kicker by the face, literally nose to nose, could smell each other's breath. And then he doinks it, his second missed kick of the quarter. I mean, I saw it was stunning when you're watching it. It didn't feel real. I watched a million football games in my life. I had never seen anything like that. I'd never seen a close-up of the head coach, maybe like maybe special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
Somebody but the head coach of the football team nose to nose with the kicker right before he's going to kick a game-winning kick in a playoff game. I've never seen anything like it. It was special. Great camera work by the cameraman to get that shot. Unbelievable.
Well, yeah, great camera work because Sark queued that up.
Yeah.
You do not talk to the kicker before he's going out to kick the biggest kick of his life. It's like a goalie that's got a shot going or whatever. You don't talk to him. You just let that man be in his own world, go out there, make the kick, and move on with your lives and celebrate and put him up on your shoulders. Sark doing that's a weird move. It's a weird tactic. I hate it in the moment. And as someone who has watched a lot of Texas over the last few years, as we all have, Auburn's missed some big kicks. He's missed some kicks. Like, I don't think that these were out of the world. He's like a 65, 66% career kicker. This ain't crazy. Bizarre.
I like to think Sark is a baseball manager. A pitcher's going out to pitch the ninth inning of a perfect game, and he stops.
Yeah.
Whoa! You realize you got a perfect game going right now? You realize if you get 3 more outs, you're going to have a perfect game, dude? That's going to be awesome.
I bet
that's the best analogy.
That's probably what he said to him. He's like, hey pal, he goes, about 2 minutes from now, you're going to be a hero, and we're all going to love you. Like saying shit like that to him. Get him
that last one that you missed. Remember when you missed it? Remember when you missed the last one? You're not going to do that again. It's probably the most he's ever talked to Bert Auburn in his life, by the way. Like the head coach, like there's no way that other than like maybe in like a meeting, like one-on-one, like that's the most one-on-one time they probably ever had. It was so bizarre, but it just, again, it goes back to college kicking, but that going into overtime and I'm sitting there just like, if this kid has to go out there and make a 40-yarder in overtime to tie it or to win it, he's going to go over 3 in these moments. I swear to God. But again, credit to Texas.
I thought he was going to make
the extra point. I was terrified about that extra point.
Joe Tessitore was like, now here's the moment, guys. Here's the moment. I'm like, is he going to shake the extra point? But no, I mean, obviously for all this shit that I was saying, Quinn Ewers tried to give it away, whatever. The way that they played in overtime, that 4th and 13 to Golden and that was unbelievable. But there still is something. They won it fine. We're going to obviously see them play again next week in the semis. There's something missing with that offense.
There's something missing. You're right.
Something missing throughout the game. They're showing the yards and they're showing it's just to me, I can't figure it out. I don't know if they can figure it out, but with all that talent to be in the positions that they get into on offense is just mind blowing sometimes.
So to me, what happened last week was their tremendous run game took over that game. Today, they had to rely on the passing game heavily because ASU bottled up the run so well. Texas Wisner had 45 yards rushing. They have another rusher hit double digits. This is a team that gets that consistently. ASU did a very good job at bottling up the run. They deserve a lot of credit for going up with a high tier offensive line, a high tier team's offensive line, just battling them like that. There's a lot of people that are questioning on 4th and 13 why Arizona State, was applying pressure. In my opinion, I think those people are wrong. I think applying pressure there and trying to get to Quinn and force an errant throw was the correct play. They had been getting after it, and when they had gone to him, I think you take that risk. The unfortunate thing is, you go back and look at the play, it's just a nasty move. It's just a nasty move by Golden. He cooks the DB. It happens. Maybe they should have had some extra safety help over there, sure. Unfortunately, they're too worried about the 13, 14-yard pickup and not the 23-yard pickup is what it is. You send pressure there. I believe that.
All right. Kayce, you're doing that.
DraftKings, baby. DraftKings. As we've been mentioning, if you're a newbie, maybe in 2025, you're turning legal gambling age. If you use promo code RUFF and you put just $5, you only have to deposit $5, but then you bet $5 on anything, no matter what the odds are. As long as that bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So you could even go do it on a live bet. You could do it on a minus 5,000 money line live bet, hit it $150 in bonus bets immediately. Of course, gamble responsibly. We're in the middle of the college football playoff, but maybe you want to bet on the NFL. You want to bet on, I know Brandon's a big hockey guy now, hockey, NBA, whatever it is, Blutman's tennis bets. Okay. Thanks to DraftKings. Use code REF. The crown is yours.
All right, Big Ev, it's time. There was
Go off, King. Go off,
there were
King.
2 playoff games today, and I'll just give a brief take before I hand it over to you. The stage will be yours. You must be, in your wildest dreams, you must not have thought this was coming after what happened against Michigan. But here's my thing about what happened against Michigan. Michigan losing that embarrassment, that awful loss, unlocked what had to be unlocked. And that's the idiocy and the bravery of the coaches. That you had to get that cowardly style of play and play calling out of Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. And their play calling against Tennessee, their play calling today was aggressive. It was saying, we're the better team, and you can't stop us. We have the best player in the country right over there. He might be a freshman. He's the best player in the country. Fucking stop him, Oregon. And whatever happened after that Michigan game has unlocked exactly what was in Ohio State the whole time, and that is the best team in the country. That's what I see, Big F. What do you see?
No, they finally woke up a sleeping giant. They woke up the juggernaut of a team that everyone talked about from the beginning of the year, the team that Urban Meyer said, this is maybe the greatest college football team ever assembled. That was that team. Against Tennessee and today, that was finally that team. And I think that performance against Michigan, it was embarrassing. It was every bad adjective you can use to describe it. It was just awful. And I think it just woke Ryan Day and Chip Kelly up and said, we can't play scared. We have a bunch of Ferraris, drive them. Bunch of loaded Ferraris, big-time engines, big horsepower, drive them. Jeremiah Smith, I've said it all year, I get it. I still don't think people quite understand. This is like a Randy Moss type, like a generational one-of-one, all-time special gold jacket type of kid that you're watching unfold. The legend is just beginning. It's just starting. He just turned 19 to a true freshman. He's the best player on the field. He's been NFL wide receiver 1 tomorrow. He's just turned 19. He's special. But it's not just him. Like everyone else played great. Like Will Howard played great. And that's playoff Willie right now. Like the 2 games he's put together in the playoffs, unbelievable. The ball he threw to Egbuka was insane. He might as well have handed it to him. I mean, the offensive line, fantastic. Patchwork offensive line. Luke Montgomery, Donovan Jackson's at the kick out to left tackle. He's a natural guard. Has played really, really well there. He's going to be a guard in the pros, but he's doing what he has to do for this team to win. He's our best offensive line, and we need him there. Travion Henderson showing that burst. Like, that's what he was when he broke Maurice Corette's freshman touchdown record a couple years ago. I guess 3-4 years ago. Like, that's that guy. You're seeing that guy now. And the defense is just flying around. 8 sacks. I mean, Sawyer's unreal. JT's unreal. Cody Simon, monster. Lathan Ransom, monster. Obviously, Downs is great. Like, this was a true team fuck you win on every level of football. Offense, defense, special teams, all levels. Just kick the shit out of them. One of the best performers. I mean, that was like one of the best teams I've ever seen when they play like that.
In these playoffs, we've seen Notre Dame outclass Indiana. We've seen SMU get outclassed by Penn State. We've seen Tennessee get outclassed by Ohio State. We've seen teams get outclassed. We saw that again today. But the team that got outclassed was the undefeated number 1 team in the country, who, by the way, came in with 3 victories over playoff teams. This was a team with a resume. This is Oregon. This is a team that was the best team all year. They already played once in Eugene. It was nip and tuck. And this time, it wasn't close. 41-21 is not indicative of that ass whipping I just saw. Kayce, you lost your national champ today.
I did.
You believed in a team. You believed in a team who showed they should be believed in until today, and they run up against a monster.
An absolute monster. And my thing about the Michigan game, and everybody's making the jokes like, oh, how did this Ohio State team lose? Well, we said it on the stream, and we all made jokes like, the game that Ohio State tried to play against Michigan was not their best game, which is like they were trying to beat Michigan the way Michigan plays football. Like they were trying to run it up the middle the entire time, when in reality, what we saw today is exactly why they built the roster that they did. And the biggest thing for me, that all year we said, okay, you went out and got great wide receivers. You have a great defense, a great offensive line. Why didn't you spend more money on your quarterback? Why did you guys go get Will Howard? Because he's not that much better than what you have the past. And he's taken and been like, okay, I'll show you how much better I'm going to be in the playoff. And credit to Ryan Day. I went into this game thinking there's no way Ryan Day can outcoach Dan Lanning in a situation after they beat Tennessee the way that they did. I don't know what Dan Lanning looked like. He didn't know what Dan Lanning was doing half the game. Like that, the way that Oregon played, especially in those first few quarters, looked like they did not know they were the number one team in the country. Ohio State is so fucking talented. And I don't care if it was losing to Michigan or whatever it was that woke them up and woke that coaching style up. But like this team is by far the best team in the country right now. Like not even just because they beat number one, the way they are playing, there's not an offense like them left in the playoff. There's just not.
It's why we should probably apologize to Tennessee. Everybody like lumped Tennessee in as this team that was just a fraud and terrible and everything. They just got done to them what Oregon got done to them. Like it just happened. Blutman, Ohio State, Oregon.
First thing I want to bring up is Dan Lanning, and then we'll get into like takes on game and everything and thoughts.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning deserves more hate, or as much hate at least, that Cignetti got for punting. The punt that Dan Lanning goes out there today is as pathetic of a punt that there's ever been in the history of football. You could
lay it out. 4th and 4, fourth quarter, down 26 points.
It was on the third.
Oh, it was third. 4th and 4 at the 41-yard line, down 26 points.
Go try and get it. Do what you gotta do. Try and win a game. You're playing. If miracles happen. Win a miracle, and you're in the college football playoff semifinal. Go try and make that miracle happen. Don't run away from it. Whatever. The quote he says after the loss, I detest. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I saw it.
Tell us.
All right. Sometimes it's not your day. It wasn't our day today, and it wasn't their day against Michigan. Ain't no way that's what he cooked up.
That what we saw tonight was not a matter of, that's just not our day. It was one team played to the maximum of their ability, which is very, very high, and one team thought their victory earlier in the season meant they were just going to do it again. That's what it – because even in the first – like Gabriel played with no urgency, no passion, they were just dinking and dunking. They were just playing kind of pussy football, and this wasn't – it's not our day. This was – they're way better than we are, and we're not even going to pretend like we know what we're doing right now. That's what I saw, Blutman.
Yeah,
They came out in the second half. And I know they scored. They came out in the second half and ran like multiple plays that had not been working in the first half and took 8 minutes to score a touchdown. Like they were down by 1 million at that point. Like that's what you came out of the locker room with?
Yeah, it was I was very unimpressed with Dan Lanning today. I really thought he shrunk from the moment, which is kind of a theme with him over the last couple of years. He's a roster builder and he's a good coach, but when the moment Oregon has a history of getting here and then just kind of shrinking, and that's what happened this time. Yeah.
So this is what I more so thought was going to happen when the teams play in Eugene. And there's a reason why I had tweeted out after one drive that Chip Kelly is just going to dice the Oregon defense up all day. That's why I tweeted when they play in Eugene. And then, let's be honest, a few fluky things happen and the game did not go as planned. That's what that game was when you look back on it. Ohio State lost the fluke advantage. They really did. And then, yes, the loss to Michigan. I know people in the chat don't want to keep hearing about it. When you tell the story of Ohio State probably winning the national championship this year, you have to circle the Michigan game 100 times with the red Sharpie and say, hey, thank you for waking us up and thank you for making us just click and start firing on all cylinders, because the simple things that they needed to do, they haven't been doing. The stuff as simple as what happens on the first touchdown. Get Jeremiah Smith the ball in the flat in open space and let a generational talent cook. That's all you got to do sometimes. Simple is better. Yeah. Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say also you have to talk about the Michigan game, because if they didn't lose that game, they're playing Oregon in the Big Ten championship, potentially for a bye. So they would have already played Oregon again. So whether people want to keep hearing about that game or not, because they lost that game, they didn't play Oregon again to potentially get a bye. Like, that is a major part of this. They had to play in the first round. They had to play Tennessee because they lost that game. So, like, whether you want to hear about it or not, that's a major chapter in this.
Can we focus on what Big Ev said, what he just said as well? This generational idea, this generational talent of Jeremiah Smith. You got to look back over the last 4 or 5 years. Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr. Routinely, Ohio State has either the best receiver in the country or one of the very best receivers in the country, and often they have 2 or 3 of the best receivers in the country. This motherfucker right here is a different thing entirely.
Yep.
This is a different thing entirely. This is you're the number 1 team in the country. Watch this. I'm going to throw it to him. I'm going to throw it to him over and over, and you can't do a goddamn thing about it. And as good as Olave was and Marvin Harrison was, you couldn't really do that as much with them as you can. And this guy he's 19 years old. He's a freshman. We got 2 more years of this. This was simply Chip Kelly and Brian Day realizing, Big F said it already, we got Ferraris in the garage, and we're about to get them on the racetrack and go, and there's not a thing you can do to stop them. And when they're clicking, what can you do to stop them? What can you do, Big F?
No, I mean nothing. They figured it out. It's just get for the ball. He's just a total difference maker, a total game changer. You said it from JSN to Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marv, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Respectfully, they're not close. I've never seen anything like this guy. He's truly a freak of nature. I mean, he's 6'3", 215 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a freak of nature. He doesn't need to like grow up, become a man. Like, that's why I say like he could play in the NFL tomorrow. He's a grown ass man right now. I truly have never seen anything like him. He makes other like freakish first round picks seem just like just guys, because he's just that different.
You said something. You had to be. Oh, I'm sorry, Bloodman. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You had to be excited over the moon when Travion Henderson hit the sideline and just tracked it out for that long touchdown, because that's what they've been missing. When they were running it up against Penn State and Michigan and everything, they were getting, a good run was 6-8 yards. But when Travion can hit the sideline and go 80, now it's another different thing entirely. I just want to say that, Bloodman. Go ahead, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is just a legit glitch in the system for some reason. And let's just say NCAA 14, back when the game was good, is what it is. This guy, there was for some reason a 95 overall recruit out of high school, and you were able to get him. That stuff ain't supposed to happen. That's a 1 in a trillion glitch. We're talking about, we keep throwing around, he's been 18 this year, now he's 19, and he's a generational talent, and he's the best guy that Ohio State's had in their loaded wide receiver room. The stuff doesn't even come close to telling the whole story. Yeah, the 2025 draft is on the weaker end when we're talking about draft class and everything. The guy would still, at 19 years old, probably be the number 1 overall pick. And he is a 2027 class guy. I need people to understand how ludicrous that is, how absurdly talented this alien is, and it's such an unfortunate thing that we didn't even get him to see. He didn't get to cook near as much as he could have all season. That's crazy. This guy should have been a surefire top 3 Biletnikoff guy, and he wasn't. This guy wasn't in the top 3 of the best wide receiver award. How that happens is another disgrace to the college football mankind of the voter world. I understand
that. I understand that because Ohio State.
Because if you watch him play every single week,
I understand.
I got
that. But Ohio State spent most of the year coaching like he wasn't. They coached him. They coached him all year like he wasn't. If I'm Will Howard, I get done today and I get to the locker room. I'm like, what the fuck? Why couldn't you let me do that against Michigan? Why couldn't I do that against Penn State? Why couldn't we just do that? They didn't treat him like that all season.
I think we had a lot of mouths to feed in the offense. He scored a lot. I mean, it was more just he had some games where he'd have 6 for 80, but if you watched it, you were like, holy fuck. You saw something different.
And that's the thing, because Marvin Harrison Jr. won a Biletnikoff Award, and it wasn't like he put up that top-tier production. It was a lot of us, we used our eyes and recognized, hey, this guy talented, probably the best receiver in the country, even though he didn't have the best production. And it's like Travis Hunter wins the Biletnikoff this year. He didn't have the best production. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Big Ed, let me ask you. What?
I did still want to like bring up takes on the game about Oregon.
Please.
Oregon. What I had pointed out in the first game was Ohio State pass rush obviously was completely ineffective. The one thing that they struggled with mightily, and I can't believe they let Oregon do it, was they let Dylan Gabriel use his legs to play make, and that killed them. And that bought time for the offense to create separation. Hey, maybe that masked what truly happened. Maybe the receivers weren't creating so much separation at those DBs, and it was, well, they were, but it was more so because of the timing that Gabriel was able to buy. Dylan Gabriel was suffocated today. He had nowhere to go. He got sacked 1 billion times. Ohio State's pass rushing was so dominant. And the fact that they, like, that is such a great detail and difference in game 1 and game 2 is Gabriel had nowhere to run, because the second that he tried to get out and play make and buy time for a receiver to get open, there's three Buckeyes right there hanging him in the upper body, and it's just game over right there.
Also, they held every play. They held every fucking play. And like Ohio State has, it's actually, look it up. Like the least amount of calls like ever. Like ever against us when we have this like you think this roster of NFL players aren't getting held like ever? Like come on,
this was a hot topic today.
The amount of holds was insane. And I'm gonna say,
you're walking into
no, I don't care because it's the truth. You don't get to just break the rules because you're down 34-0. That's not how it works. That's not how this shit works. We've done it all year.
On snow right now. Brandon's ready.
Big F, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Have you watched a game with Tate?
Just the Tennessee game. I guess that was it.
Okay. It is exhausting. He is just the worst fan I have ever seen in my entire life. Big F, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to ask you a real question, okay? Because I know you know what we do. You know we do gambling streams. So we're watching the end of the Peach Bowl. It's overtime, right? You saw the game, fucking classic. Yeah. And of course, the Rose Bowl can't be bothered to wait for a second because they got to be the Rose Bowl, and they're the only thing that matters. And they go ahead and start. Tate stands up and demands that we have sound on the center TV with the Peach Bowl. He demands that we also put sound so he can hear the kickoff of the Ohio State game. Would you have been able to watch? If I told you I'll put it on the screen, but we're going to keep the volume on the other game, could you have stood that for 2 plays, Big F? Because I could.
I got to be honest. I think I'd have to say yes because I watched the Spanish broadcast today. So I think I'd have to say yes. I mean,
wait, hold on.
I actually.
You watched the entire game in Spanish broadcast?
I'm in the Dominican Republic. They have 5 ESPNs here. It was on ESPN2 for them. They have different broadcasters. They have different broadcasters. That's all they have, just in Spanish. So I had it on mute for the first 5 minutes, and it just was like because I'm just pacing around my hotel room. So I'm just I just put on the volume, and it just was in. So it's funny when they're just saying just saying a bunch of Spanish, and there's Will Howard just random in the middle of it as they're just rattling off Spanish. So yeah, I guess I could. I guess I also watched the first kickoff with no sound.
No, but here's the thing. Because what you just brought up is true. There is a stat that says Ohio State doesn't get those holding calls, and it was such a hot topic today while we were watching the game because every single play Tate was holding, and Brandon was it's not holding every single play. Yes, you don't get the holding penalty calls, and it's not holding every single play. It's just not.
It stood out to me the most on the last drive of the half when Oregon scored. There was a lot.
They held them about 6 times.
That drive stood out to me significantly. There was at least 3 or 4 plays that were blatant holds that they didn't call, and a couple of them where there was 2 on the same play on different guys that they didn't call.
Well, I told Tate this, and I'll tell you this. Be very happy that they didn't call holding today, because I will guarantee this is a stone cold hard prediction right here, a guarantee for everyone. I will not be wrong on this. Texas will be called for a holding penalty against the Buckeyes.
I hope so.
All right.
I
Let
know
me
we're
step
gonna
in
do a
right.
whole preview. We're gonna do a whole preview episode next week, but
Let me step
you
in right
guys are
there.
gonna kick- Oh,
I'm trying to step in. I'm stepping in. Let me step in.
Fine,
I'd like to
step
step
in,
in
bro.
right now. I'm stepping
Step
in.
in.
Okay, I'm
You in
stepping.
there?
Step
I'm in,
on
dog.
in, brother.
I'm in there, dog. I'm in there, dog. Okay. So
Step on in, brother.
Whoa, so were you in there?
I'm in there, dog. Okay.
All right,
Here
cool.
we go. Here's what we got for the rest of this show and tomorrow night, because we do have a Sugar Bowl tomorrow at 3 Central due to the tragic, unfortunate incidents. What happened in New Orleans way bigger than football, so they're trying to sort through that. Going to push the game off. We'll have Notre Dame, Georgia tomorrow. After that, we'll be live again. We're going to do this again after the end of that game. So after that game, we'll, of course, recap that game and talk about, everything that happened tomorrow night. We'll also put everything from bowl season, a little bowl cleanup that we haven't had time to talk about tonight because we're talking about the playoff. But, Alabama losing to Michigan, the Kalen DeBoer debacle that's happening in Tuscaloosa, Michigan
Kalen
getting up off the
debacle.
mat. These are things to talk about. Shane Beamer almost getting his fucking ass kicked by Brett Bielema, while also proving South Carolina was a bunch of fake, phony frauds. So we got a lot of bowl cleanup to do. We're going to do that tomorrow night after Georgia Notre Dame, which of course is tomorrow night because of the terrible, terrible, terrible shit that happened in New Orleans. Now, that's for tomorrow. For the rest of tonight, we have a third playoff game that happened last night. Obviously, Texas and Arizona State was today, and it was phenomenal. Ohio State's performance was phenomenal. And last night, Penn State beats Boise State, I believe, 31-14 in the final score. I can't say that I'll tell my grandkids about this particular game, but if I'm a Penn State fan, I fucking love where I'm at right now. I've won 2 playoff games with relative ease. Big Ev, what'd you make of Penn State last night?
Yeah, they look good. It kind of was what I thought would happen. I mean, their defense played well. Like Genty started having a little more success in the second half, I thought. But yeah, I mean, the defense played well. Listen, it just Boise, I think actually deserves respect. Like I think I saw Jack Mack tweet this, and I agree with them that I think that Boise's one of the better G5 teams we've seen in the last probably 10 years.
I agree.
And I really think they were pretty good. I think when you just play one of the elite 6 teams, you're gonna have trouble. I mean, I don't think they're better than that Cincy team that had Sauce and all that. I think that was probably the best G5 team we've seen in a long time. But no, they fought hard, and I give them respect. But Penn State just too much. I mean, just Drew Allen made some great throws early in that game. The one throw he made at the back of the net was unreal. You see the talent there for him. If he could ever put it all together, I feel like he'd be special. But he still kind of got some stuff to clean up. But it's one of those. It's like a game. I think Liam said it where it's it's a big game, but it's not a big game. So Franklin doesn't have to make any crazy decisions or do anything like that. They just show up, play. They're just better everywhere.
Yeah.
Physical.
I'll say this. It's probably light years better than what they had, and I know they won the game by 17 points, so it really didn't affect anything. I thought Andy Kotelnicki, I thought that was the worst performance I've seen by a college offensive coordinator this year. I thought that was a pathetic showing by the offensive coaching staff. There was a point in that game, I believe it was in maybe first quarter, maybe second quarter, that I just realized, I think everybody realized, all you really have to do is run the football. You got 2 good running backs, Katron Allen and Singleton, 2 good running backs. They can't stop them. Every time you drop back to pass, I like Drew Allen. The receivers aren't that great. Drew Allen's very good, and Tyler Warren is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
but
he's phenomenal.
When they passed the ball, it introduced Saxon to play and introduced all kind of things, and they couldn't stop the run. And this motherfucker just would not get out of whatever bag he thinks he's created. He wants to be cute. He wants to put Tyler Warren in the Wildcat. He wants to, on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1.5, whatever it was, he wants to do this misdirection pass and try to show how smart he is. And you don't have to do it. Just fucking body him up front and get the. I thought Kotelnicki was fucking terrible last night, Bloodman.
Okay. It wasn't a 3rd and 1. It was a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. I actually really like that play design. He used it in the complete wrong situation. I'm talking about
a 3rd and 1 in the second half. It was 3rd and 1.
Are you talking about the one where Tyler Warren was under center and then
No. It was 3rd and 1. Drew Aller turns and fakes like he's handing it off, and then there's a misdirection. He turns and throws, and it's just awful.
Oh, we're talking about 2 different plays. On my bad, home slice. That's on me.
That's
Cudel Nicky, that's what he is. He tries so hard to Super Mario Galaxy brain everything, and it's just a slap in the face. Sometimes you gotta just say, hey, we're better up front. Let's run that ball and let's get out of here. We're gonna put up 40 and this thing's over. We got our backups in the field and all good. That game, they made it closer than it needed to be. I'll give respect to Boise State for fighting and playing like resilient football because, hey, again, another team got blitzed in the first quarter and down 14-0 in the blink of the eye, but they hung in there and fought. I disagree. I don't think Boise State was like some elite group of 5 team. I think they were a pretty good group of 5 team. I don't think they ever really had a chance against one of these top teams. I think that there will be better group of 5 teams, and there have been a lot better ones in recent memory. This was a team that had a successful passing attack because of how much attention to detail was spent on stopping Ashton Genty. This was a team that had holes in their secondary. This was a team that, they don't have a dog in the receiver room. This is a team that Genty took as far as he could. This was a team whose greatest accomplishment this season was losing to Oregon by 3 points, and they somehow worked their way into the number 3 seed because of that. Unbelievable. Don't understand how that happened. That was tremendous oversight from the committee. Is what it is. Boise State, good team. Penn State, show won by more. These games, there are tremendous mismatches in the trenches. The amount of dudes, dogs, bullies that the top tier Power 4 teams have, the class of the class, against a group of 5 team and some of the lower end Power 4 teams, it's such a substantial difference. When Abdul Carr was in the game, if he got to play the whole game, he's finishing with, 343 pressures. He was getting there in an instant every single
Seems
time.
high.
Every play too.
Seems a little high.
A little high, maybe, but I'm not a numbers guy, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. And I want to say this too, because everyone is just so nearsighted when they're talking about Ashton Genty in this game. He had 30 for 104, and they padded his stats at the end of the game. They did. Anybody that's sitting there and saying, hey, this guy stunk and was invisible on the biggest stage, why? How is that your take? Their offensive line cannot compete against those guys. They just can't. Everyone is in the backfield in an instant. The fact that he was even able to create 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on some of these carries is incredible anyway. And you're going to have fun when he's on your fantasy team next year on an NFL team with other talent where he's not. What was that? You taking him? Okay, cool. When he's on an NFL team and there's other equal talent on the field, that they can't just sell out and put A in the box and stop Genty. So you'll see Genty and his unbelievable traits on full display next year and beyond. Don't quit on him. You're an A if you do. Have fun in fantasy. Have fun bang on him, and you're all wrong for thinking he's a joke.
Well, no, I definitely don't think he was a joke. I obviously, again, very talented back, but the way going into this game, one of the things that I said, and that's why I thought Penn State would blow Boise State out, which they did, is that because all they were going to have to do is load the box. And that to me, and Blutman, you just said it, and it goes back to Brandon's point, is that Penn State's offense didn't have to get cute because they were dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball to such a degree that they didn't need to do anything but just stop Ashton Genty, and on the offensive side of the ball, just run it down their throat. And so James Franklin and that staff somehow wanted to keep it a little cutesy for a bit, but it just proves again that the difference between the Power 4 and the Group of 5 is the talent in the trenches. And that's what we saw happen last night. It takes nothing away from Ashton Genty, but if Ashton Genty is playing against teams like that every single week, his numbers wouldn't have been as gaudy. That's just a fact. It's not taking away from his talent. It's not taking away from how good he is, but that's a fact. It's a
Yeah,
fact.
that is a fact. But if he's playing in an SEC or a Big Ten team, one of the schools
would
that
have a
offered
better
him a
offensive
tremendous
line.
bag, and he's playing behind a high quality offensive line too, with all those athletes and everything, he is putting up gaudy numbers. He still is. He's getting close to what he had this year.
Yeah,
And
no, I mean, there's a difference in playing in the Big Ten and playing a team like Penn State every week. Like, yeah, if you play Penn State every week, yeah, that would have an effect on his numbers.
Oh,
But
no,
I'm not
again,
saying
I think he would.
I think he'd be fine against like Minnesota or Nebraska or anybody
Well, I
else.
mean, we saw Cam Skattebo do it against Texas today. I'm not saying he wouldn't be good, but this is why, like, saying Boise State, like, going into the playoff was going to be able to hang and put up these numbers against guys in the trenches. Like, it wasn't just the defensive line. The offensive line was the same way, too. So, I mean, Penn State just outclassed them. I guess my biggest question for, and obviously we saw Oregon just get shellacked today. So there's no excuse for them losing to Ohio State the way that they did. But when you look at the way that Penn State has now made it to the semifinals, and you look at Oregon, who didn't lose a game all year and that had to go play the best team in the country, which is Ohio State, it's like James Franklin still hasn't won a big one. But now when you look at the semifinals, we don't know what's going to happen with Georgia and Notre Dame tomorrow. Like, do you think that the Penn State we've seen the last couple of games, like, are they going to bring that dominance? Like, they're not going to be able to run over these teams like SMU and Boise State, but like they haven't even been battle tested in the playoff yet.
No, I mean, listen, for Penn State, playtime's over, and they got the benefit of a bad seeding system. They did, but they went out and handled business. I think they're going to play for a national title. I think they're going to beat Notre Dame or Georgia. I think they're going to play Ohio State for the national title. I think it's a really, really good team. And yeah, they haven't had to really show anything yet. They haven't really had to stretch their legs in the playoff, but I think they can dial in. And listen, we saw them against Ohio State earlier. They lost a one-score game. I think this is a very good team. I think they did get lucky with the seeding. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not going to hold that against them either.
No, definitely not. I'm just like James Franklin, like shaking off can he win the big one? He hasn't had to win a big one yet.
Can we?
I don't know. Yeah, you're right in the sense that, I mean, he hasn't had to beat an Ohio State level team or a Texas level team yet. He hasn't. But the guy's also in the college football playoff semifinal, so I think they're pretty fucking good. Big Ev, what'd you make of Penn State?
They're really good. I mean, they'll be a pick'em versus Georgia or Notre Dame. It'll be a great game. I think either game will be a very close game. I think that's going to be the game where, like, can Franklin get over the hump? Like, can he, like, win a game where, like, in the trenches things are similar, talent wise things are similar. But no, I mean, I think Liam made some good points. I think you said it too. Like, they definitely went away from the run. Probably could have made the game easier than it.
Yeah.
Game should have been a lot easier than it was. Even though it always felt like they had the game in control, even when it was like 10, they never really felt like they were going to lose the game or anything like that. No, they played well. I mean, it's just it worked. It felt good for them. It definitely felt good for them. And I'll say I would absolutely love to play in the national title game.
We're going to get out of here pretty quickly, but let me go around the room real quick. 30 seconds or less. Notre Dame or Georgia, Big F?
Georgia.
That was definitely 30 seconds or less. That was qualified. Kayce, Notre Dame or Georgia?
I'm going to stick with what I said, Georgia. I don't think that the drop-off at quarterback is going to be that big of a deal, and I don't think Notre Dame's offense is going to be able to score well against Georgia's defense.
It's 2 for Georgia, and I think 2 more coming for Notre Dame right here. Blutman, Notre Dame or Georgia?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Notre Dame. I've kind of already saw my thoughts on the game, so I want to focus on something else, and that's the top 4 seeds and the bye. These teams haven't played in a month. That's a lot of time off, a lot of rust. Look at what happened to Boise State. Look at what happened to Arizona State, and look at what happened to Oregon in the first quarter. They all got boat raced right out the gates. It is an inherent advantage to be playing week after week and not waiting a month to play football. There are serious flaws in the playoff format, and I believe this is truly one of them. This rest thing is not good at all. What do you do about it?
You're right in the sense that the long layoff is kind of problematic, and we've seen all 3 teams that had it came out just flat and dead to begin the game. However, I'm going to throw a counterpoint at you with a theory for Georgia and Notre Dame. Georgia is the only team in this 12 team that had to make a quarterback change on the fly. The last game they played was started by Carson Beck. They came out of that game knowing they were going to have to start Gunnar Stockton. I wonder if the extra week of prep for Gunnar Stockton and for Georgia of getting him ready and getting him game ready, getting him going is going to be a benefit to them in this situation, knowing that everybody else struggled because they didn't play. Maybe they were better off not playing and getting them ready. Is that theory crazy?
I completely agree. I think like having an extra week with a team that's obviously, Kirby Smart knows what the fuck he's doing, having an extra week to get that, the whole first team comfortable with him and not have to like throw him right into the fire absolutely benefits Georgia.
I think you're right about that, but I'm not buying in on Gunnar Stockton. So
Yeah.
like I think you're going up against like Xavier Watts could just show up tomorrow and take his lunch money. This Notre Dame secondary is legit. Gunnar Stockton didn't move me at all in the game against Texas. Hey, Texas is a terrific defense. I think it's a good point by you though. As a fan of college football, I'm just excited to see what happens tomorrow.
All right, real quick, we're going to get out of here now. We talked about Ohio State. There was just one player I want to shout out. I didn't shout him out during the time because we shouted out Jeremiah Smith. We shouted out Travion Henderson and Will Howard. Pound for pound, Caleb Downs might be the best player in college football. That motherfucker is unbelievable. Anyway.
You're taking Notre Dame though, right? You didn't give you think Notre Dame's going to win?
I didn't. I should have. I like Notre Dame. All this talking cute by Georgia about Gunnar Stockton. If you believed in him, it would have been you would have been more featured this year. You would have been at least trying to get him snaps. You would have. You had a quarterback who struggled a lot of the year in big games, and you didn't. You never made a move towards Gunnar Stockton. That tells me you never believed in the guy. And Georgia's not magical enough around him to lift him up. Like when it was Fromm and then Stetson Bennett and everything. That roster was so loaded that the quarterback was just going to be the beneficiary of it. Now this team needs to be carried by the quarterback a little bit, and I don't think he can do it. Notre Dame. All right.
Okay.
We have got we'll be back, I don't know, in less than 24 hours. The game's at 3 Central, so I imagine we'll be live again by 6:30 Central tomorrow as we finish it off, and then we'll have a college football semifinal. We'll do a little bowl cleanup. Anything else from anybody?
No, obviously, and I know you mentioned it, like thoughts and prayers for everything that's going on in New Orleans. And if anything else happens, like we will go live as soon as that game is played, whenever it's played. So, right now it's set as that, but like just we're being flexible with the situation because it's much bigger than football.
All right. Thanks. And we will see you guys tomorrow. That's unnecessary.
Brandon, smile.
All right. Thank you. Shut up.